Should be coming up on your feed just about now here. Brr. Oh, there we go. Sharing to everyone. And if you were wondering, we will be off next Monday for Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day to all of you.
Put that in your calendars.
Put that. Make sure you flip your calendars after that, because that'll be the end of the month. Last time I flipped a calendar was probably the last time I wrote a check. I couldn't tell you the last time I wrote a check. Would you like to know how old my checkbook is, Brad?
How old?
The person who lived with me at this residence still has their name on my checks. And I will not order new ones because I just don't care. And I don't write them that often. And we've been, how long has it been since we broke up? 8 years? I just don't care.
Here is my checkbook. Ready? I've had the same sticker on it. As you can tell, that's a bit aged, isn't it?
Yes, it has. It's quite a bit aged. When is the last time you wrote a check? Do you remember?
No, I have to write them every once in a while.
Once in a while, I did for a while.
I still pay our quarterly taxes with a check.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
I refuse to get involved electronically with
drafting all that shit. Sure.
The state and it's just, but this first page on this, which is okay, is from the year 2012. Okay.
God damn.
So the answer is so
a while.
9 years, and I haven't gone through it, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it doesn't matter. It's only if you have the money. It's not how you fucking do it electronically on your phone. That doesn't make you better than anybody else.
It makes you better. It makes you a better person. I just touch my phone to the thing and it goes bzzz. And have you used Apple Pay? Are you enrolled in Apple Pay?
No.
You're just
I get God. No, because there are too many variables in terms of when you get X percent back for different stuff.
Yeah,
and
but you can put all of
it defaults to 1% for too many things, which makes it not worth it to me.
I'm using two main ones. I just scroll over and get this one, and then I go boop. That's it, and I go back to the other one.
But if I can get 2% on everything, that I don't get 3 or 4% on the damn Costco card. And everything else, I can get 2% on the Fidelity card. Why would I fuck with Apple Pay? Give me a reason.
I think you're misunderstanding. It's just a way to store all the different credit cards. It's not one specific credit card. You don't need an Apple credit card. It just feeds all of your credit cards into that one thing. Instead of you fishing through your wallet for different ones, you can just scroll through it. I have like 5 different ones on mine that I can just boop on Google Pay, and there it is.
Well, nobody told me that.
Well, you have millennial children. You should be calling them and asking them these questions.
Yeah, I need to call them to ask them about something that I knew nothing that I didn't know existed. Yeah.
One of them was just in your house, and you were getting new phones.
No, but you can't ask someone to tell you about something that you did not presuppose existed.
I think I get 5% back at grocery stores. With the American Express one, I think I get 5% back on that one.
Oh, okay. Thanks. You taught me. Way to go. All right.
Yeah.
Can we start?
Yeah. Suck it. How's that taste?
Jesus fucking Christ.
And my grass is cut.
I got an idea. Why don't you and I both tell racist jokes that neither of us have seen before? I'd like to talk about that.
You ready?
Do you know what I'm referring to?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
I'm ready when you are.
It is the Brad and Britt cast. First one for this week. Thank you. Thank you for coming along with us, however and wherever you are. Hey, I got three choices.
I love the
for you.
choices.
Ready?
I'm pro-choice.
Phil Mickelson, GGOT, G-GOAT, SNL, make it go away, mommy. Or go ahead and hate your neighbor. Go ahead and cheat the IRS.
Wow. 110 soldier rides away. I'm going to go with a constant whipping boy in your life for 40 years now, at least. It is Saturday Night Live.
I spent time, and I wrote about this yesterday on my FB page. And I don't have to refer back to it. I think I can look straight into the camera or into the mic and talk about this. For the last, it's at least, 5 years, the last show of the season that they do, Colin Jost, who is, I believe, still the head writer of the show.
Yeah.
And Michael Che, who's also one of, if he's the number 2 writer or whatever, at the very end of their last segment on the Saturday Night News Update, they claim, and I think they're not lying, they say that each of them will read jokes that the other has prepared for them that are so horrible that they are just beyond the pale, but you haven't seen the joke before. You have to read it straight off the teleprompter. All right.
Right.
And they take turns and they giggle through them.
Yeah.
They are embarrassed that they are doing this.
Right.
But they can't stop doing it. They must do it, Britt. They can't stop doing it. And their boss, Lorne Michaels, he can't put it with it. And they're not funny. They're the kind of shit that you told back in 7th grade, back when you could tell those kind of jokes with that word in it all the time. And they're just racist as shit. And
that's the point. The jokes that Che writes for Jost is like to make him look like the most racist piece of shit in the history of the world. That's kind of the joke.
I'm just asking you, why would you, under any circumstance, put yourself in the position on national television,
right,
to be doing those kind of jokes that are how should we say it, a bit dated in their approach to the world? This isn't about being woke. This isn't about being sensitive. This isn't about anything. It's about also not even being funny. And in the end, again, what you have done, I think, at some level, is you have given permission. You have given permission to those people who really do like to tell those jokes, but you don't. You're just doing at the end of your little skit, and it's just funny that the two of you go back and forth. I think it's pathetic. And I also think it undercuts all of truly the liberalness, the wokeness of that show, which is now, how shall I say it, extremely gay. It's very gay now. Okay, I'm cool with that. But how can you do that? How can you be that show and have that kind of crap on there read by 2 straight guys? I think to me,
why would you?
It is like I have a shade over here. I'd like to just pull it down. Saturday Night Live, just pull the shade down and just be done with it. If you got nothing else to do for 2 minutes every year at the end on the last show, just shut it down. Shut it down.
You were asking why would you do that? I guess it's 3 words: because you can. I think that's the only reason they do that. Is they feel like somehow it makes them more edgy or something like that. I mean, I don't understand how you make such a big deal out of Elon Musk hosting your show a couple of weeks previous, and then you do bullshit like this, and like it just goes by without a trace, without any kind of with anybody batting an eye. I'll give you an example. This is one of the jokes that Che wrote for Jost. He said, DC Comics is introducing a black Superman. There's your setup for the joke. In the DC universe, Black Superman's kryptonite is having a job. That was the joke that he wrote for Colin Jost, which was supposed to be hysterical. It makes him look like a massive racist, but it's okay because the black guy wrote the joke. Everything's okay because the black guy wrote the racist joke, so it's funny and we can all laugh at it. I mean,
I don't even think that they would make that as an excuse for why they can do it because of black guy. It's just not. You cannot have a show that for the last 5 years has featured a full-on frontal attack on Donald Trump for being the racist that he is, and then come with this. You cannot square the two. They do not make sense. And by the way, if these jokes weren't on your show, it wouldn't lessen whatever LESSEN lesson the take on it's I can't find a reason to justify. I can't.
There's no real justification for it at all.
And here's what I did in my post. I basically said what we're talking about. And I said, look, in year one, the late great comedian Paul Mooney, who just died this week. It's coincidental in a way. He died this week, 79 years old. He was Richard Pryor's main writer. He wrote a lot of the great Richard Pryor material with him. And he also wrote that famous sketch between Richard Pryor and Chevy Chase, the job interview, which to me is one of the best 2.5 minutes ever on the issue. And Brilliant. It was funny. It was right where it needed to be.
Yeah.
And by the way, both actors, Chevy Chase and Richard Pryor, did not smirk their way through it. They did not laugh their way through it, which, by the way, if these two guys ever had to try to do something, they could never do it.
Forget it.
Because neither of them have 1/10 of the talent of either of those guys. I can't believe I'm pushing hard for Chevy Chase here, but he's great in playing. In his
heyday, in his heyday, Chevy Chase was amazing. Right. He had his time.
But it was so good, and that was 46 years ago in 1975.
Right.
And you know what? Lorne Michaels, who was a young guy then, should have probably had the good sense to say, you know what? We've now done that. We're never going to be able to do better than that. No one's ever going to write anything about that topic or subject better than that. Oh, 25 years from now, 30 years from now, we may have a guy named Dave Chappelle come on. He's pretty damn good. That's fine. But to let these two second-rate people, and that's what they are, in my opinion, for doing this, continue on year after year. And just nobody can stop it, right, Britt? There's just nobody can do anything.
Yeah, they just can't. It can't be not be done. It has to be done.
Yeah, and I read a piece of, I guess, the day after the show, which would be Sunday. Some guy in Wired, and of course, naturally, I'm paraphrasing this because he agreed with everything I was saying. He pointed out that year after year, many of us watch that show and we hate it, and we hate it. And he went through the generational thing. And this was separate from what I just said about just hating the show in general, but we watch it just to see if it might be funny. It's a habit. But he says, yeah, if you're 60, then nothing since the first cast of Chevy Chase, Gilda Radner, Dan Aykroyd has been funny since then. If you're about 40, it's the Tina Fey, Maya Rudolph,
right.
Phil Hartman here. So everybody thinks that. I don't think that at all specifically. I don't sit there and think, well, it hasn't been funny in 46 years because, and we've talked about this before, the show has been an uneven, bumpy ride forever. It's always been. And when I talk about a segment, or you talk about a segment from then, yeah, that was a segment on a show that probably had a lot of crap on it, that never makes the 1 hour highlight shows that they've been running ever since then. I mean, you have to get the DVDs of the original shows to see how boring and how bad and how self-indulgent and how drug-addled the writers were for so many of those sketches that they must have thought were hilarious, but were flat then and are flat now, and that has continued on forever since then. That's the piece. There it is. That is the piece. Saturday Night Live helped create the age of memes. Now it can't keep up. Right. They're trying to understand and work with the fact that everybody has a show. Everybody has a blog. Everybody has a blog. Good word, Brad. Everybody has a Twitter account. Everybody has a Facebook page. And, comedy is ubiquitous and instantaneous. And so by the time it's 11:30 on Saturday night, what is there left to say? The answer is very often not much. So they struggle.
Right.
And I understand that. I get that. But you know what that means? Shut it down. It's over. Can't do it anymore. I mean,
it's the last bastion of anything. Like they used to have shows all the time at the beginning of television that were just these live shows that they would do, and now this is the only one that's still done live. This is it.
Well, this is not the beginning of television anymore.
But you're right.
We've moved on. Ed Sullivan is dead. Perry Como is dead.
I wish Lorne Michaels were dead.
I wish Lorne Michaels were dead already. Just get out. Just move on.
But then they redeem it.
By the way, have we beaten this horse? Is the horse on the floor just blooded out? Have we killed this
horse? Stopped breathing. I do believe the horse is just up. But didn't they redeem themselves with the Janine Pirro thing? Wasn't the Janine Pirro thing just over the top greatness? Didn't you like that?
Here's the problem. You're right, but it doesn't matter. You got an hour and a half, and if 6 minutes of the hour and a half hits the target, it doesn't justify the existence of the show. It just doesn't.
It's fair.
It doesn't. Yeah.
But that's all you got now is, you're just looking for some sort of video that's going to be like 3 minutes or 2 minutes of greatness. And that's pretty much all you got. But
Hey, all right. Let's talk about G-Goat, Phil Mickelson.
Phil Mickelson.
Who I guess the amazing part of him winning the PGA was, I think he was ranked like 150th in the world. He hadn't finished in the top 20 in any tournament, for a year or something like that. I mean,
think he was missing cuts. I think he was missing cuts on some tournaments.
He's the definition of really washed up and just continuing to play because he likes to play. And wouldn't it be nice? And for him to pull that off almost wire to wire, right? I mean, here's the thing. And I want to, can I pat myself on the back? I never do that, as you know.
Oh, no. I know.
But Thursday night, he was ahead, right? After the first, he was ahead. Yeah. And I was really tempted to put up a really clever ass meme. Like, okay, when does the collapse come? You
resisted doing that.
But I didn't do it. And
Good
I
job.
didn't do it. And here's why. For the same reason that whenever there's a trial now, if you try to predict the outcome, if there's anything, you're more likely to be wrong and be stupid. And you can win by saying nothing, which, by the way, is the entire Joe Biden presidency. He wins by not being the guy on Twitter to negotiate and demand a ceasefire between Israel and the Palestinians, right? Can you imagine if Trump would have been the president last week and the week before? Every 5 minutes, Israel has a right to defend itself. Stop it, pal, right?
Oh, no.
There'd be no way. How could you be on the ground negotiating if Trump is sitting there tweeting as president? He could have done it. And
we're going to start attacking Hamas. The United States is now going to start attacking Hamas immediately, if not sooner.
Right.
You know that shit would have happened too.
Anyway, back to Phil Mickelson. So I kept my mouth shut, and so he wins, and you already know all the parameters. He's 50 years old.
Yeah,
oldest guy to ever got to win a major tournament.
On behalf of Generation X, can I just say fuck you, Rory McIlroy?
Right. So Nicklaus was 46 when he won his Masters in 1986, and Tiger Woods was 63 a couple years ago, right? When he won his, he was older.
Well, Mickelson, for a good part of his career, it was 10, 15 years ago, he was a hated guy. He was not a liked guy. First of all, he was seen as the antidote to Tiger Woods, who was beloved by a great segment of society. And then he was a pretty big boy. He was a little chunky, and that was something that got on people's nerves. Allow me to do the thing that pisses you off more than anything else. Here is how Fox News is covering the story.
Can I guess? I haven't seen this. Let me guess. White man deservedly wins tournament.
No, somehow they've got this story of their insane Phil Mickelson crowd frustrates Brooks Koepka. No one really gave a shit. Of all the stories to cover that surround the Phil Mickelson victory at the PGA Championship, they decided to go with that one about how the rude crowd was pissing off the young whippersnapper.
No, nobody gave a shit about what.
Let me read this story.
See, because that headline again, it's so bad on its face, and what's even worse is it completely forces you, and they're so good at that on Fox. Oh, they're so good.
I know. They got me.
Read the thing.
They got me again.
They got me.
As mayhem ensued on the 72nd hole on Sunday, and with security losing control of the masses, as thousands of spectators stormed the 18th fairway celebrating Phil Mickelson's historic victory, Brooks Koepka was lost in the mob along with his caddy Ricky Elliott for several moments before finally breaking out of the pack to safety. It would have been cool if I didn't have a knee injury and got dinged a few times in the knee in that crowd because no one really gave a shit, Koepka said afterwards. Yeah, it's cool for Phil, but getting dinged a few times isn't exactly my idea of fun.
Okay.
I was trying to protect my knee.
Okay. Okay. That is 12 levels below a story.
I know.
Right? No, that's 12 levels below the story or a story. And I would have gone with, let's see, Democrats overlook mob, nonviolent white mob.
Well, is that the real
in South Carolina? Notice how polite they were. They didn't break anything.
Isn't that the overarching the idea? Even in Joe Biden's America, you can't find law and order on a golf course. Isn't that the problem?
Yeah, go all the way with it. Absolutely. Right. There's nothing that you can't take and twist into some kind of anyway. Look, when you think that just a couple months ago, all these golf tournaments were being played with either nobody in attendance or 150 people, it's and that's obviously the story. And Mickelson has gone from a guy who he had a great career. What did he won about? He won about 4 or 5 majors, which there aren't that many people that won 4 or 5.
Sure.
But by winning this at this moment, he kind of moves into a different class.
He does.
He really does, because you've now challenged. That's the bad part. And now every guy is going to keep playing beyond their natural life, thinking, well, fuck, look at Mickelson. He doesn't look like he's ever lifted a weight in his life. Okay. The only weight he's ever lifted is a 15-ounce glass.
That's not fair. He looks a lot less chunky now than he did 10 or 12 years ago. He's in probably the best shape of his life.
He does those commercials for, I can't remember which drug. I mean, he's got some kind of chronic illness, which I'm surprised he doesn't have that drug name on his shirt He's a chronic asshole.
He takes medication for being a chronic asshole, as many of us in Generation X do. But he was able to keep it at bay to win this weekend. Right. So God bless him for being able. Xarelta for being a chronic asshole may cause diarrhea. Because they all cause diarrhea. But it was a great moment for him, and I'm happy for him. And again, he was not the most popular figure there for a while. He's got his own hook, as far as being left-handed, it always kind of looks different to see him hit the ball that way and shit like that. So yeah, it was a good weekend story for sure. You're just a huge dick if you can't be happy for him. Oh, hi, Fox News. Oh, there you are. Sorry. Back to that. Now, all right. Your third story was go ahead. It was the lyrics to One
Go ahead and hate your neighbor. Go ahead and cheat the IRS.
Yes.
Just when you thought that the right-wingers, the conservatives, the Trumpers had run out of shit to automatically reject and oppose coming out of the Biden administration, Biden, and by the way, all presidents, they seem to do this way. If we could just cut the waste and fraud, we'd get X number of dollars. It would help us pay for programs, help us balance the budget, whatever. All right. So Biden says, I want to hire 87,000 new people from the IRS. And let's back up the truck for a moment here. Remember, that's a right-wing conservative whipping boy. Just the fact that taxes exist in the first place and the IRS that it exists, right? If we could just make it so you can fill out your taxes on a postcard and get rid of that's the dream, right? Because these are the jackbooted thugs who will come after you and take everything that you got. And we hate taxes. We're cutting tax. Right. All right. So Biden says that because there is so much cheating going on, and we know that it's to the tune of billions and billions and billions of dollars every year. And most of the cheating, of course, is done in proportion to how much money you make. The more you make, the more you cheat, right? Because you got more money to try to keep by cheating. So the conservatives, the Republicans, have said, no way. Do not expand the IRS. Remember, Trump was slicing it down, cutting it down so that there could be more cheating.
Why do you think that was?
But here, wait, this is the best part of it. They are opposing this under the guise of this would be a tax hike.
Oh,
I swear to you, they're saying that if you are compelled to pay what you actually owe on your income taxes, and you can't get away with it because there are more IRS agents and they're auditing more people at a greater percentage rate, then that's a tax hike in the world of being a Republican, right? Mm-hmm. So we can't do that. So they're against that. So it does not matter. The idea of negotiating with Mitch McConnell or any of them on anything, the Democrats should just say we're done. We're out of here because they don't want to do anything. And, off you go. That's it.
So it's a tax hike. That's a tax hike. That's all there is to it. And
that is exactly right. It is a tax hike. So hey, you know what? Before we go on, Saturday night. Saturday was my wife's birthday.
Oh, yay,
Jane, and we went out Saturday night together to a restaurant.
Yeah,
for the first time. Have not done it once since last year, for over a year, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I brought in food, brought in pizza, but not until then. And we went to a place, and if you're a local and you're catching us here, you know what place I'm talking about here when I mentioned that it was Cafe Pasta.
Oh, sure.
Right? And Cafe Pasta has been open since 1984.
God
84. And the number of quality restaurants anywhere in the country that have been open that long, 37 years, it's very small. A lot of them fell by the wayside, not just in the last year, but before that, for all the reasons that, I mean, there's a reason they have all those shows on Bravo about, restaurant assholes. I'm going to fix your fucking restaurant or you're going under, whatever the name of those shows.
There's like these statistics about in the first year, most of them shut down, and there's very few of them that survive past 5 years and all that stuff.
So we went in there, and a guy that everybody knows around our part of the woods, Ray Issa.
Fantastic.
Not only is he still there every minute, every hour, hands-on, talking to everybody, getting it done. He runs the restaurant like such a profession. It's unbelievable. And I had a brief conversation with him because he's busy. But this is what killed it for me. We're sitting there, and of course he's already got the birthday dessert thing all set up.
Sure.
And the waitress brings over. And Ray comes over there. He says, my mom still makes the desserts. His mother's 90.
Holy shit.
All right.
Holy crap. What is she making? Is she making like tiramisu? What's she making?
And then he proceeded to tell us how they made it through the last year. And he's talking about how he was going out of his way not to lay anybody off or fire. And he said that they had people constantly driving up, picking up in front of the restaurant there, and they were able to hang in there long enough. And now, of course, they're over on the other side, and it looked like any night that you'd ever been there any time in the last 35 years. I had my 40th birthday party there.
Yeah.
And they were so great then. And that's
Jesus.
25 years ago, according to my calendar. I'd have to look at it. I think that's right. And these kind of people are kind of unsung heroes of what we've seen in the last year. And I don't know if you saw the statistics finally put out over the weekend after all this is done. And I'm using the word only because it applies considering what you thought you knew. Only 10% of restaurants went out of business.
I did see that
last year. And I think we were under the impression that it was 30, 40, 50%.
Yeah.
Of restaurants went out, and all that was going to be left was Olive Garden, Chipotle, and McDonald's.
Yeah.
Right. We thought that was going to happen.
That's about it.
And it isn't going to happen. And that's good. So folks who, everybody, they're still having trouble finding new people to work.
Of course.
In restaurants, of course. But the last couple of weeks have been somewhat astounding in the United States, don't you think?
It's been amazing. Yeah. And I think we're in for a lot of irrational exuberance this summer when people go to clubs and forget how to act and they've gone out and stuff like that. But I do relish.
What we want. That's what we want again. Bring it
I don't
back.
Want them to I don't want them falling down, getting drunk, getting into fights. I do want them supporting businesses like Mr. Isa's for sure. I want them going in there and ordering pasta and getting those desserts from his mom and stuff like that. Those are the people that need to be celebrated. For sure. That needs to happen. And if anybody has the balls to go out there right now and to say, yeah, I'm looking at the landscape, I'm going to go ahead and start a business. I'm going to start a restaurant. God bless them. If they got the balls to do that, you need to step up and try that.
I know there are people that did that in the last year, especially, some people had plans already in place.
God bless them.
In 2019, and they went through with it, and hopefully they were able to.
If you know folks like that, go and support what they do, because that's a hell of a risk, and that's a great thing. And these are you got guys like Mr. Isa who's been this, like you said, been doing this for all these years. Holy crap, it's tremendous what they've been doing.
And what's even it was better than I remember. I mean, everything was just perfectly done. Just
there's never that's one of those places where you never have a bad experience. There's never there's never a missed note. It's almost eerie how good, how spot on they are every single time. And it doesn't matter if the server's been there 2 days or if they've been there 10 years. They always have the best people and everything's where it should be. And if you're having a problem or, hey, I need some more salt, it's always that place is always spot on.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of felt bad for our server because, they still have to wear masks.
Yeah.
The people who work they still have to wear masks. And most of the people eating there were like us. So clearly we were older and we're vaccinated and the rest, but that doesn't matter. Because when you're on the other side of this, you have to assume
you do
that the people are all right. Just wanted to get that in there. Oh, can I do one more thing? There's another thing I went berserk about, and I didn't see the story last week. I don't think you saw the story with it. I just saw it this morning. This whole thing about Joe Biden and the Notre Dame graduation ceremony. This story is. It's kind of everything wrapped up into one thing, because many presidents have spoken at the Notre Dame graduation. It's as close to being a service academy graduation as there gets. A lot of presidents have spoken. Some haven't. Some have. Trump never did. Mike Pence, I think, did it in 2017 because they didn't want Trump there even then. Okay, but let's not use him as the standard here.
Oh,
so Joe Biden was invited, and suddenly the Notre Dame nation exploded. Much of it, thousands of them signed a petition. We don't want this guy. He's pro-choice. He's the word. He wants to use federal tax money for abortion. He's against all blah, blah, blah. On and on it goes. So Joe Biden says, well, sorry, I can't come. I have a scheduling conflict, which of course is always a lie when people say that. But it's a graceful way to get out of a situation that could be a little bit uncomfortable. The worst thing that you would do right now, if you were Joe Biden, is force yourself on a graduation crowd where a large percentage of them just hate you because you like to kill the babies, and they would walk out. They would turn their backs to you. All the kind of things that you can do at graduation ceremonies to screw it up. So he backs out of it. And I thought, holy shit, thank you, Notre Dame. What a year it's been. You gave us Amy Coney Barrett. Gee, wonder how she's going to vote in these abortion cases. I wonder. Can't even begin to imagine, right?
Somewhat an evergreen story. This is when it's from 2009, inside the Obama Notre Dame controversy. I do remember this being a thing because, you know, he was all for killing the babies. He was a big fan of killing the babies, and there were a lot of people at Notre Dame who felt that was antithetical to the mission of the university, but he still ended up speaking at the university. So it does happen from time to time that they have this sort of thing, and you're right. Joe Biden says, thanks, but no thanks. It'll be fine. I'll be over here. You guys can continue doing what you want. Yes.
I think it's a very deft sidestep of something that would have been issue A today. There'd be video of it all over the place.
Right. It's a useless fight, and it's a useless fight to pick. And that's one of the great things about Joe Biden is he's not going to pick stupid ass useless fights like the previous guy.
But Britt, that would have been the first 25 minutes of the noon show on Fox of them arguing over this. This would have been Meghan McCain melting down on The View. Blah,
they
blah,
would have had
they'd play this video
with
forever.
Confederate flags. Dudes in pickups with Confederate flags would have descended upon South Bend to protest. I mean, by now, my God, it would have been insane by now. So that's one of the great things about Joe Biden. You don't get brownie points for that. You don't get style points for not picking a fight. Nobody ever says that. Look at the way that he doesn't do something. Nobody ever says that about somebody, but they should because, discretion.
I don't know how closely you followed the news the last 2 weeks out of the Middle East and Israel and the fight on the West Bank and Hamas but Joe Biden was taking a lot of public shit the first week or so because it was being portrayed as he's just not engaged. He's ignoring it. He's not in there. All right. Well, again, just like with the Notre Dame thing, what does he do? He does the work, and he does the work without being on TV every hour, and he does it without being on Twitter every 5 minutes to say, here's what I'm going to do, and here's what I order for the world. And if you don't give in, we're going to get in there and drop some bombs or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And they worked it. They worked it. He talked to Netanyahu, I believe, six times over that period. And at least at this moment, the result is what you want to happen in the short term, because there's no long-term discussion here. There's no long-term about why didn't Joe Biden solve a problem that's thousands of years in the making for 1,000 years going forward. That's not the standard. The standard is to stop the violence and the killing initially so that there's a chance that there can be some kind of discussion, which is likely to go nowhere, but that's better than continuing to have all the violence and the war making and the terrorism so overt. And he got the job done. He got the job done. Could in the next hour a bunch of new rockets make it through to Tel Aviv and 100 people get? Of course it could. We know that. That isn't the question.
No.
We know that.
But you said it last week, and it's been absolutely clear. This is just Netanyahu trying to prop up his ass. That's exactly what this is. It's nothing more and it's nothing less, and it's really not working. But this is what he feels like he has to do to save his political ass because he's in trouble and he can't. He's not the man that he used to be. So he lobs some bombs and it goes over really great. And that's really the story here.
Let's just put it this way: Netanyahu is not the Phil Mickelson of Israeli prime minister. He's just not. He's not getting it done anymore. Hey, you know what? I know you must have seen these two stories about the same thing today. And LeBron James is dropping the ball more and more on things.
Yes, I saw this.
And he has been just garroted, and rightfully so, both by Charles Barkley and by Stephen A. Smith for saying nothing, nada, zip about getting vaccinated. All right. He could be arguably the most prominent person who would fit the bill of, well, don't listen to me, a politician. Don't listen to me, a doctor on cable telling you to get vaccinated. Listen to trusted friends, people in your community, people who you believe would not lead you astray, who are telling you to get the vaccine. And LeBron James has said nothing. And what's even worse, he's done I'm not going to tell you whether I've been vaccinated. He's not even sharing whether he got vaccinated, as if this is some kind of privacy violation, which is bullshit. It's just bullshit. And I don't know what's wrong with him. I don't know. Stephen A. Smith whooped him, and so did Charles Barkley. And
how can you say,
if you want to be honest, that's Charles Barkley from the right and Stephen A. Smith from the left. If you want to play the political angle here.
How can you say that you're trying to be a positive voice for the community, for the culture, if you're not going to speak out for anybody, if you're not going to speak out? But I think specifically when we talk about how this has been so detrimental, the virus has been such a hard-hitting thing toward the Black community, toward African Americans. I'm seeing some great public service announcements here in our area with the Reverend William Barber from the former head of the NAACP, and he's trying to urge folks to get your spot and get shot. And for LeBron James to say, no, not only am I not going to tell you, but I'm not going to tell you how I was vaccinated as well. I find that it's kind of weak.
I think it's even worse. He played it is your choice.
I don't get this. I don't understand this at all. That sounds like
the only by the way, he is in a contest. He is in a contest with Rand Paul.
I did see that
for
too.
Who is the biggest jerk in public about getting vaccinated. I mean, Rand Paul is such a jerk. I mean, I believe he was on one of the Sunday shows yesterday and said, I haven't been vaccinated. I'm planning to get vaccinated. Why? Well, because I had it. I got COVID and I have the antibodies, which of course absolutely positively goes against what every doctor of note has said, that even if you had it, you should still get vaccinated because there is no long-term study or evidence about how long whatever immunity you might have from having contracted the virus, how long that would be effective. And so you're much better building on whatever you have by getting the vaccine. So Dr. Rand Paul and LeBron, who will never be Dr. J, LeBron James, both, my God.
It's that Duke. How many other folks who have actually been through Duke University Medical School who've decided they're not going to get vaccinated? I mean,
most of them probably. Right?
Jesus Christ. How ridiculous is this guy?
And by the way, just based on that, they should withdraw his MD status. They should pull it back.
Yeah, they should.
They should take it back, and I don't know whether they can or not. Because
it'd be great if they did, though. It'd be great if they.
And by the way, speaking of that, I read a piece, and again, this is one of these ones that kind of got by me. I think it got by you too. You didn't see it.
Yeah.
Right after January 6th, several colleges and universities that had awarded Donald Trump honorary degrees yanked them back, pulled them back. I think Middlebury College in Vermont had given him one, and a couple of others. One back in like the 80s, and they said we're still taking it back. We gave you and they said because you advocated the overthrow of the government, you suck, and we're sorry we ever gave you an honorary degree. And Trump was left with just one honorary degree after everybody pulled back the ones that he had. And the answer, of course, is Liberty University. They're allowing him to keep his honorary degree.
Oh, good. God bless him. I'm so happy for Liberty. Yeah. Congratulations.
They're sticking with him, and Jerry Falwell isn't even running the place anymore, and they still didn't pull it back. So I don't know what they're thinking there. I mean, how bad do you have to? I mean, okay, if Bill Cosby had all of his honorary degrees pulled back right after he got charged and then convicted of what he did, but how bad do you have to suck to have been a president? elected president and then have your honorary degrees withdrawn.
It's not even a thing. I mean, how could they even consider? I'm just speechless that they would be like, yeah, we looked it over and he's fine. We want him to. In fact, we want him to have 2. Come back and we'll give you another. We'll give you another honorary degree. 1 is not enough, Donald.
Yeah. Maybe he'll be starting to get them from places down in Florida Atlantic, places like that. There's always a chance to redo it. You know, like that picture a couple weeks ago of Rick Scott handing him some kind of plaque, greatest president ever, that he had cooked up.
Unbelievable.
All right. What else? Anything else that we need?
That's all I have.
Beat
That's all that I've got
here.
That's all that's on my beleaguered mind. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. All right. And by the way, I'm going to tell you tomorrow. Did you know I'm a Bitcoin billionaire now? I don't like to brag about it, but okay.
I've moved on.
It's kind of obnoxious to brag about that, isn't it?
All the cool kids are with Doge now, so I don't even know what you're talking about.
Isn't it dog? Isn't it dog?
No, it's Doge.
Coin.
It's a Doge. It's not a dog coin.
It's doggy coin. It's doggy coin. All right.
Bye.